Now tonight I've been in a quandary as to what I should speak about. But also I was thinking this morning when I woke up what I would do if I had life to live over again. What would I do if I had it to live over again? And I find in 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter and the 29th verse, a little phrase that says, the time is short. And then also in the 12th chapter of Ecclesiastes, these words, the 11th chapter, beginning with the 9th verse. Rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth, and walk in the ways of thine heart, in the sight of thine eyes. But know thou that for all these things judgment is going to come to you. Therefore remove sorrow from your heart. Put away evil from your flesh. For childhood and youth are very short, and are vanity like a bubble that burst. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. There's going to be a time when the things that you enjoy now, you'll have no pleasure in at all. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. That's when a person gets old and his hands and his arms and his legs begin to tremble. And the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they're few. That means the teeth wear down. That's what he's talking about here. That day is going to come when the teeth are going to give out. And then while the sun or the light of the moon and the stars be not darkened, that means your eyes are going to grow dim as age comes on. It happens to everybody. You watch on television people that used to be young film stars, and you see them as they were 30 years ago, and today they're sort of bent over and they have wrinkles and they have gray hair, and I'm sure if you examine their mouth, their teeth are grinding down. And if you go to their doctor, you'd find that their eyesight is not as good as it used to be. What about you? Have you ever thought about life like that? I remember that one of the members of our team died this past year. The first one of our original team, Grady Wilson, went to be with the Lord. What a glorious homegoing he had. The last week of his life is a wonderful story in itself. And I went in to see him. And about 3 or 4 weeks earlier, I had seen him before, and he told me an interesting thing. He said, Billy, he said, tell them how short time is. And I thought about that. Then I thought about the person in a university that asked me, what is the greatest surprise of your life at your age? And I said, the greatest surprise of my life is the brevity of life. How short life is. Time is collapsing on us. How much longer do we have? We read about the ozone, the acid rain, the pollution, the atomic bombs. I've heard that South Africa has as many as 20 or 25 atomic bombs. What will they do with those in case they're pushed to the wall? Israel has atomic bombs. Iraq, Pakistan are all working on the atomic bomb, and it's estimated that 15 small countries now have the atomic bomb. What's going to happen when one of these small countries explodes one and it starts a chain reaction and the whole world could blow up? Technology has no morals. Man is the same as he was in Jeremiah's day. And Jeremiah said, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? How do we know when some Hitler or Stalin is going to come along again and have the whole world at his feet? First, there's the brevity of time. The Bible says our time on earth is very brief. Behold, thou hast made my days as a handbreadth, and mine age as nothing before thee, the Bible says in Psalm 39. Think of a handbreadth from the thumb to the little finger. In God's sight, that's as long as your life is. So quick, it's over with. But you can't tell young people that because, you know, when you're young, you think the whole thing is in front of you, and you never realize that you may be gone tomorrow. The Bible says in Psalm 90, the 4th verse, for 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past, and a watch in the night. 1,000 years. In God's sight, is but a day. 2 Peter 3:8 says, one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. None of us are going to live to be 1,000 years old. There may be one or two in this crowd that may make it to 100. But even then, you will hardly know what's going on around you. A few do. And then in Isaiah 40 it says, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are like grasshoppers. God looks down and sees all of us, and we look like grasshoppers to him. The Bible says we're like the grass, we spring up, and like the grass we're mowed down. The Bible says in Psalm 102, my days are like a shadow that declineth, and I am withered like grass. For thou, O Lord, shalt endure forever, and thy remembrance unto all generations. God is from everlasting to everlasting. God had no beginning. God has no end. You had a beginning, and you have an end. And God promises that you may live to be 70, 70. But beyond that, he doesn't give any clear promise. And that's not long, let me tell you. It comes quicker than you could ever dream. The days of our years are 70 years and 10. We have each been given the same amount of time in a day. Do you know how many minutes there are in a day? 1,440 minutes. You have already lived today. And it'll never be repeated. It's already written down in God's books. It's on God's tapes. The things you did, the things you did not do, that you should have done, and the things that you think. Because God records even our thoughts as well as our words and actions. You know how many hours there are in a week? 168 hours in a week. And a week ago yesterday, we arrived in Buffalo. A week has passed since we arrived. Quick, just like that. It seems like yesterday we began the meetings. Yes, 70 years God allows. The first 15 is in childhood. 20 years you spend in bed. The last 5 years, the physical limitations are curtailing your activities. Only 30 years left. That's all you have, really, 30 years out of the 70. And part of that time has to be spent eating and working and figuring out your income tax. And the Bible says in James 4, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away.